Hello everyone, my name is Joseph and welcome back to the Popsicle Night channel. This video is sponsored by PTCGO the best place for you to get Pokemon TCG code cards. Please don't forget to use my code NIGHT22 at checkout so you can get a 5% discount. Thank you so much guys for always supporting the content I create in this channel. In today's video, we're taking a look at an updated list of Single Strike Urshifu VMAX from the Brilliant Star set. With the new awesome look, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX is better than ever before. It has 330 HP, 3 retreat cost, no resistance, and is weak to Psychic. It has 2 awesome attacks. The first one is Beatdown. For 3 colorless energy, it will deal 100 base damage. And its second attack is G-Max 1 Blow. For 3 fighting and 1 colorless energy, it will deal 270 base damage, after which you discard all energy from this Pokemon. What makes this attack so strong is that there is nothing that can prevent this attack. The only thing that can lower its damage is resistance. And fighting types are really good right now since a lot of top tier builds in the meta are weak against fighting, such as Arceus V-Star or Gengar VMAX. But of course we also have to contend against Mew VMAX and Malamar, which is why I've added dark type Pokemon in this combo, specifically with Umbreon V and Umbreon VMAX. Umbreon V has 2 attacks. The first one is Mean Look. For 1 dark energy, it will deal 30 base damage, and the defending Pokemon cannot retreat. Its second attack is Moonlight Blade. For 1 dark and 2 colorless energy, it will deal 80 plus damage, and if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 160 damage instead. This attack can even one-hit KO Mew VMAX. And its Dynamax form is Umbreon VMAX with the Dark Signal ability. If you evolve this Pokemon from your hand, you can switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. This is a very powerful ability which will allow you to control which Pokemon to target. It has 1 attack, Max Darkness. For 1 dark and 2 colorless energy, it deals 160 damage. But what sets this apart is that now we have access to double turbo energy so that we can easily power up Umbreon V or VMAX with just 2 energies, making Umbreon a lot faster to set up. And not only that, we also have access to Houndoom, which is a very strong energy accelerator. It has the Single Strike Roar ability. Once during your turn, you can look for a Single Strike energy from your deck and attach it to one of your Single Strike Pokemon, and you deal 2 damage counter on the Pokemon you attach the energy to. And Houndoom also has the attack Darkness Fang. For 1 dark and 1 colorless energy, it deals 50 damage. And we don't want to discount its pre-evolution Houndoom because we're going to use this especially when we go up against a Malamar deck. It has the attack Bite. For 1 colorless energy, it does 20 damage, but with a single strike energy, you can knock out an Inkay with a single energy, and with 2 single strike energies, you can knock out a Malamar. I also included 1 copy of Crobat B for its Dark Acid ability for an extra draw support. And I added a copy of Manaphy with the awesome Wave Veil ability so we can prevent our opponent from damaging our bench. All the other cards are what you would expect in a single strike Urshifu VMAX build, but we do have our own choice spells to help increase our attacks even further by 30 damage when we go up against the Pokemon V. I also included Ultra Balls, and finally, a few copies of Path to the Peak Stadium, which is really great for turning off our opponent's abilities, especially Mew VMAX Genesect. I think single strike builds are actually pretty good right now because you have so much access to dark type Pokemon, which allows this build to be a good matchup against Mew VMAX or even Malamar. And that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below. And now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing Single Strike Urshifu VMAX. Alrighty, so my opponent's deciding to let me go first. And we're going to start off with a Single Strike Urshifu V and a Houndour. Houndour could be a good Pokemon to put in the active because it only has 1 retreat cost, but I think I'll just put my Single Strike Urshifu V. And we are gonna go against a Malamar build, and this is actually one of Urshifu's weakness because obviously Urshifu is weak against Psychic, so Malamar can hit for a lot of damage. Even if you don't have weakness to Psychic, it can easily knock out a lot of V or VMAX Pokemon if they do build up a lot of Rapid Strike cards on their hand. So I think the main strategy against this one really is to just use your Houndour or your Houndoom line so that you can have that proper 1 price against 1 price exchange, and you really just want to get your V Pokemon out of the way as much as possible. You can use your V Pokemon, your Umbreon, or even your Urshifu to attack maybe later on in the game when you have your footing on the ground where you know that in the price exchange you're not gonna get behind even if they knock out one of your V Pokemon. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna retreat my Urshifu V so that I can remove that from the active, and with the Houndoom here, we can actually use this to accelerate an energy to our Houndour, and that's gonna allow us to knock out an Inkay. So what makes this matchup great when using your Houndour against the Malamar deck is that you can target their Inkay and knock it out easily. So as you saw there, Houndour has 20 damage output to its attack bite, but with weakness you're only hitting for 40 damage, but thankfully with the single strike energy you're increasing that attack by an additional 20, so double that, you're actually hitting for 80 damage against an Inkay. So if they can't evolve an Inkay, you're getting an easy 1 price for 1 energy for a basic Pokemon. So I think that's the main strategy if you're using the single strike Urshifu VMAX against a Malamar deck, because again, if you evolve into a single strike Urshifu VMAX, they knock it out, they're hitting for weakness, you're gonna lose 3 prizes easily like that. But as of right now, we are in a great position, because now we're taking 2 prizes here just by knocking out their Inkay with our Houndour. So this is exactly what you want. This is like the ideal strategy against a Malamar deck. So the only thing is, of course, you have to have a good start. You have to have great setup, because if, for example, your Houndour line is prized and you have limited amount to rotate between, that's going to cause you a lot of problems. And I think for any builds, that's just the reality of it. If you don't have the cards that you need on hand and then your opponent gets ahead of you in setup, you're just going to end up losing the game. So, but if you have control over your setup early on in the game, for example, this Malamar deck, we are already 2 prizes ahead of them. So we're just going to take that to, we're going to make this our advantage and just continue to get ahead in prize. And hopefully we can recycle some of our Houndours back to the deck, because we will need them to attack. But in this case, I think it's safe to say we can put an Umbreon V in play. We can use that to attack later on. They still have Houndoom, our Houndoom to contend with. However, with the Houndour, just with that single energy, we won't be able to knock out their Malamar. But for now, I think I'm just going to focus on this Cinccino, because that's what's giving them a lot of firepower. And what I'm going to do is just accelerate 1 more single strike energy to the active, so I can knock out this Cinccino. And that should give me enough damage output to knock it out for 90 damage. We don't have any more single strike energies in the deck, so it's going to be pointless to do that. Hopefully they won't find any evolution for their artillery, because that's going to help them find the Korrina's focus, which will give them a lot more cards on hand. So hopefully, and you always hope, you know, during games that your opponent doesn't find the cards that they need. And I don't know, I think we can survive an attack here, which we do, and again, part of it is strategy. I basically eliminated their draw engine by knocking out their Cinccino, so now they can't find the cards that they need. So you just kind of have to strategize as you go along with the matchup. And as of right now, it's going our way, and that's what makes it a lot more useful. So I'm gonna continue the strategy here. I'm just gonna continue to eliminate their Cinccino line. They might get an auxiliary, I don't know, but at least we're eliminating 1 less draw engine on their side. So hopefully they don't draw into any more cards, and that's gonna go a long way, because if they don't draw, that means they're gonna they have less damage output with less cards on hand. Unfortunately, they did have a Bruno, so they drew into a lot more cards, but it is dwindling down a little bit because they are using a lot of it. But they only need, I think, they need at least 2 rapid strike cards to get a knockout here against our Houndoom. But again, we only need 2 more prizes, so I don't think there's any way they can actually get ahead in prize here, because even if they knock out our active, we have another Houndoom, and we also have single strike Urshifu ready to go to deal a single knockout here. So we're only losing 2 prizes. We do have a single strike energy on hand, so we can actually get a knockout. I'll just use Professor's Research so I can hopefully set up another Pokemon line here that we can use to attack. So I'll get 2 Houndours from our discard pile, and then we can set one up this turn, and then let's see if we can set up 2 actually. So we have 2 Houndours now. We use Crobat. Okay, cool. We got Urn of Vitality. We can actually use that to recycle 2 of our Single Strike energy back to our deck. And then let's get rid of that to draw into more cards using our Stadium. Start energizing our other Houndoom. And we're just gonna knock out this Malamar with our Urshifu V. We got another Single Strike energy from our prizes, which is really great. And that just basically secures our win here, because it doesn't matter which one they knock out, we'll have an attacker available to knock out one of their Pokemon. And that's basically the whole idea against the Malamar deck. Malamar is a really strong deck. I did showcase that in this in my channel, and it's one of the most powerful single prize Pokemon builds out there. I would even consider it a tier 1 because it just really beats even the best Pokemon builds out there. You know, for a single prizer, it's a really good deck. For 1 energy, and it's a stage 1 Pokemon, it's just a really good card to be playing right now. But even though our Urshifu VMAX or Urshifu V is weak against Psychic, you definitely have a way around it. Especially we have a 4/4 line of Houndour and Houndoom in this build, and so you just have to kind of switch it up. Make sure you strategize well. Hopefully you set up well early on and start knocking out their Inkay early on and start getting ahead in the prize exchange. And that's basically how you win the game against the Malamar deck, using the Single Strike Urshifu VMAX build that is comboed with Umbreon and also the Houndoom line. So very powerful deck. I think Single Strike Urshifu VMAX is the better of the 2 Urshifus. So I definitely recommend this one. And they're gonna knock out my Single Strike Urshifu V, but that's okay. They only get 2 prizes, and they still need 2 prizes to win the game anyways. But that's alright. All we have to do is put our Houndour in the active, energize it. We're going to use Umbreon VMAX to get that Inkay into the active so that we can easily knock it out, getting our last prize. And that's how you beat the Malamar deck, guys, just by using our Houndour and Houndoom line. There you have it. Good game. Alright, moving on to our next match. We will be able to go first, which is really good. I do actually prefer going first with this build just because I can set up my basic Pokemon. And if I need to evolve into our Houndoom line, that can help us accelerate a lot of energies to our attackers. So I do prefer going first with this build. So we are going to mulligan here. We're going to mulligan 2 times. And we're going to start off this game with an Urshifu, Single Strike Urshifu V in the active. And let's see what my opponent's got here. Alright, they have Umbreon V to go into the active. Alright. So I'm just going to start energizing here, and I don't know if I want to discard any of my cards using Ultra Ball. That way I can set up another basic. Could probably discard one of the energies. I'm guessing I will have to retain my Professor's Research, I think. So I'll just discard that, get a Houndour, and then go from there. Just going to pass it on to my opponent. So they are using Umbreon V. They have Air Balloon, Single Strike. Okay. I mean, they can start tagging for 30 damage here. And that's gonna prevent my Urshifu from retreating. They're gonna use Professor's Research, and they discard a lot of cards there. And they're also using Tower of Darkness, which we can actually use that to our advantage as well. They're also using a Single Strike Urshifu V. Okay, so this is pretty much a mirror match. May the best man win, I guess. So I'm just gonna continue to energize my Single Strike Urshifu. Ooh, I didn't want to discard that, but I have to. I did get a Houndoom. That's actually what I was looking for. So I can accelerate one more energy and be able to attack this turn. And we have 3 single strike energies in the deck. Well, there's 2 now that we accelerated 1. I'm just going to remove this from our opponent. That could mess them up a little bit. I'll just evolve into a VMAX and then just attack for 170 damage. I don't think this is the time to discard all of your energy because they have single strike Urshifu V as well. So I'm just going to do a 2-hit knockout against this Umbreon V. I don't think there's any way they can... I mean, if they also use a double turbo energy, but since they already attached an energy on their single strike Urshifu V, I doubt that they're going to be able to do that so that they can attack with Umbreon V. So I think it's safe right now. We can actually knock out this Umbreon V without getting too much damage, and without any Houndour set up on my opponent's side. Okay, there's one. They can attack with Urshifu next turn, but I don't think that's going to be enough damage to knock out our own Urshifu VMAX. If they have another Houndour, they could probably do that, but we are definitely ahead in this setup. And that's basically the whole game right now in the standard format. With all of these VMAX running around, you basically just win the game within like a few turns. And that's why I do kind of steer away from playing VMAX. I mean, if you're going competitively, probably have to kind of consider playing that, because a lot of your opponent does play a lot of VMAX, V-Star, things like that. But the game does kind of go through the whole thing pretty quickly. So with the Marnie, we do get 2 more Houndooms here. We can actually accelerate a lot of energies. But well, anyways, we only have 1 energy left in the deck. But I just gotta make sure that our Urshifu survives the next turn, because Urshifu V can knock out our VMAX easily on our next turn. So I'm just gonna set up an Umbreon V for the meantime, and I think I'm just gonna get a knockout here. Get 2 prizes against this Umbreon V. Hopefully we get good cards. We got Marnie and a Quick Ball. Okay, so we at least have Twin Energy. We can use that to accelerate onto Umbreon V. They might just be able to knock out my single strike Urshifu VMAX if they can get another energy. So if they can get a Houndoom here, accelerate 1 more energy, they can attack for 180, 220, 240. Yeah, that's going to be enough damage to knock out my Urshifu VMAX. But hopefully my opponent doesn't have anything. Hopefully we can get away with this this round. And I'm probably just going to take a knockout against this Urshifu V in their active. So if we can just attach the double turbo energy, just have to sacrifice that, knock it out so that we don't have to worry about another turn or 2, especially if my opponent doesn't have any other attacker set up. So they're going to use Crobat. They draw into more cards, but it's looking like they're not getting the cards that they need. They are going to evolve into Urshifu VMAX with the character art there, which is really, really cool, which I actually don't have right now. Okay, they're just going to use Marnie. There's the Houndoom. And with the Evolution Incense, they get another Houndoom. Alright, cool. So this is a pretty much a blinged out deck. Urshifu VMAX against Urshifu VMAX. I'm using the gold version. They're using the character rare. Is that what you call it? And if they have another single strike energy, they can dude, they're just gonna use Beatdown, dealing 160 damage only. That I don't think that was a good move. because now, yeah, we can definitely knock this guy out. 310 damage is what we need to put out. 80, 90, turn. Yeah, we should be able to knock it out, but I think I'll just attach the single strike energy, just because it's what we can recycle, because the double turbo energy will just stay in the discard, but at least we have Urn of Vitality to get those energies back. So we get 3 prizes from that knockout, which is really nice. And all we need is one more attack. Hopefully we can knock one out. We have Ultra Ball. We can get an Umbreon VMAX, evolve, and then take a knockout on our next turn. But we'll have to see. We need to be able to switch out our Urshifu VMAX out of the active. They have 1 energy, but they need to... Umbreon VMAX, okay. Alright, they're gonna use it to discard so that they can draw 2 more cards. They have a switch. They're gonna switch into Urshifu V. But the thing is, we need to get a switch of some sort. Alright, we got a Professor's Research. I mean, I can energize my Umbreon. I could probably use Ultra Ball, because we're gonna discard everything anyways. Hopefully we can get something to get our Urshifu out of the active. Let me get Umbreon VMAX, evolve it, and then we can just switch one of the ones that we can actually knock out. We can knock out this guy, but alright, we didn't get anything from that, so I may just have to pass here. Let's see what we got in the deck. I mean, we have a switch and everything, so okay, we just need to draw into that. I think on our next turn we can definitely get that. Probably just use the Professor's Research. We should be able to draw into one of the switch. I mean, we have 14 cards left in the deck. That's 50% chance of being able to draw into one of those switch, because we're drawing 7 with our Professor's Research. So hopefully we can get a knockout on our next turn. They won't be able to retreat their Houndoom, so even if they charge up this turn with a single strike energy, all we need is 1 more prize. So all we have to do is get this Urshifu out of the active. Meanwhile, we're just gonna get these single strike energies. We can even just retreat, hard retreat if we need to, or we could just knock out this guy, because we can afford getting 2 more damage on our Urshifu, and we're just gonna beat down. We should be able to knock it out. There it is for our last prize. Good game. Alright, moving on to the next match. Going first, I'm gonna mulligan, and so is my opponent. Okay. And it looks like I'm gonna start with an Umbreon V to go into the active, and my opponent has power tablets. So that means we might be going up against a Mew VMAX build. So this is a great showcase for us, if it is a Mew VMAX, because now we can use our Umbreon V. And again, that's why the combination between Urshifu, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX is so great with Umbreon, because you can just kind of switch up your strategy when you need to, depending on your matchup. And we're going to be hitting for weakness against the Mew VMAX. And with the help of Houndoom, you can accelerate 1 single strike energy on Umbreon, deal that damage counter, which sets up for its second attack to increase its attack, and the additional attack damage output with the help of the single strike energy. You can actually one-hit KO a Mew VMAX without even having to evolve into Umbreon VMAX. So even if they knock out your Umbreon V, they only get 2 prizes, while you get 3 against a Mew VMAX. So we do have to set up more Pokemon here, because if they do set up a Meloetta, they still need to get 3 Fusion Strike energies into play, but that can easily be done because Mew VMAX build has a really strong draw engine with the Genesect V. But I'm also hoping to draw into a Path to the Peak so that we can shut down their Genesect V, and hopefully we can win this game easily. But let's see what we get here. Hopefully my opponent won't be able to set up, and even if they do manage to attack, we will hopefully be able to survive an attack with Umbreon V, and we can take a knockout on our next turn. And what I usually, when going up against a Mew VMAX, knowing that they have a Meloetta combination, what I try to do is just knock out as much of the Pokemon they have with the Fusion Strike energy, and that helps to kind of lower the attack damage output of my opponent. But they are going to be able to set up a Meloetta, but they have a double turbo energy that does remove or reduce the damage output, which actually saves our Umbreon V because they weren't able to find another Fusion Strike energy. So we're just going to evolve into a Houndoom. I'm going to use Marnie here. We don't get Path to the Peak. We only have 2 in the deck, but I'm really hoping that we can get one of them. Just get rid of that, hoping to get draw into more cards. I really don't want to put any more liability, but we might just have to, because if I evolve into Umbreon VMAX, they're gonna easily get 3 prizes for that. So I think I'll just get rid of these 2. That's fine. I can use Crobat. I might just have to use Crobat. I'll set up another Umbreon V just because we really need another attacker here. They can easily knock out my Umbreon V in the active, even if I evolve into a VMAX. So just gonna set up another Houndoom line. We can also actually attack with a Houndoom, being able to hit for 180 plus damage, as long as we have single strike energies available to accelerate to our Pokemon. Thankfully, even with just 1 energy, we were able to knock out their Meloetta, and that also discards 1 Fusion Strike energy. So now, when we evolve into Umbreon VMAX later on in this matchup, I don't think they can knock out an Umbreon VMAX because they did use up 1 or 2 of their power tablets, which will lower their attacks even greater. So even with the damage reduction that they have with OHKO, I don't think that's gonna help much, as long as we can set up our Umbreon and be able to attack for a lot of damage. Again, the single strike energies does really help with this build because it increases the attack damage output of Umbreon V. Because with the double turbo energy, it reduces 20, but with a single strike energy, it kind of evens it out, and so it does maintain that attack damage output with Umbreon VMAX. So they're gonna evolve into a Mew VMAX. They're probably gonna be able to knock out my Umbreon V in the active, as long as they can draw into another energy. But as it is, I think we have a pretty good hold on this matchup. We have the means to attack with our Umbreon V next turn. We just have to put 2 damage counters on it. We do have Marty to draw into more cards. You can use a power tablet. They need an energy here though. But if they don't find an energy, we can actually knock out this Mew VMAX. Alright, they should have more energies in their deck though. They have 7 cards left. I wonder if it's prized. That's the only thing, man. If all those cards are prized, even if they draw into a lot of cards, they're not gonna get it if it's prized. So they should have 2 more Fusion Strike energies, and I don't know how many double turbo energies they use in their deck. But I mean, if they have regular basic energies, they could still attack, right? Okay, they're just gonna use escape ropes, 2 escape ropes. Okay, let me just put this Umbreon V back. Yeah, I'm not scared to sacrifice my Umbreon V. They're gonna boss my other Umbreon. Do they have the energy? That's the question. Do they have the energy? Do they have the energy? They're thinking. They're thinking. If they don't have the energy, I think we have this game. Yeah, I don't know if they have any more energies. They're all probably prized. Okay, there it is. Good game. Alright, moving right along. My opponent's going to go first. And we're going to start off this match with a single strike Urshifu V to go into the active. At least we have another quick ball, which is nice. We can set up another basic Pokemon that way. And look at that, we're going up against another Mew VMAX build. This time they are using basic energy, so I don't think this matchup will have any problems getting the energies that they need. But so far they have a good start. They're using a lot of item cards here to get a lot of Pokemon in play. 3 Genesect Vs all ready to go. They can draw into a lot of cards right now, drawing 5 cards each time. And yeah, it's just not a good start. Especially Urshifu is weak against Mew VMAX. And there's the Meloetta. They're drawing into up to 6 cards right now with their Genesect Vs. Hopefully we can draw into a Path to the Peak at some point here. At least we have basic. We have a basic Pokemon thanks to the Quick Ball. And we have Professor's Research. I really hate to discard the double turbo energy, but I might just have to draw into more cards. We just put double turbo energy on Umbreon. Use Crobat. There's Path to the Peak, but we can't use it right now. Discard this. Get a Houndoom. And I think I'm just going to pass. I'm going to save that Path to the Peak. They might be able to knock out my Urshifu V, but that's fine. Having that Path to the Peak could just shut down their Genesect V altogether. Hopefully they won't be able to bump it out at some point. And that could just give us an edge against their Mew VMAX once we start attacking with our Umbreon V. So they have that first stadium to bump out our Tower of Darkness. They have Alessa Sparkle. That will accelerate 2 Fusion Strike energies, increasing the attack if and when they copy Meloetta's attack. And they can pretty much one-hit KO a lot, even Umbreon VMAX. So there's Power Tablet. They're presenting their Meloetta to go into the active. So they need... actually, that's all they need to knock out my Urshifu V in the active. So that's going to get them ahead 2 prizes. And that's really not good for us. Melodious Echo for 300 damage. That's insane. So now they're ahead 2 prizes. That's not good for us. We do get a single strike energy, which is really good. So I'm just going to accelerate that onto our Umbreon V. Play Path to the Peak. Hopefully that's going to shut them down. I wish I had Marnie to lower the attack or to lower the cards on my opponent's hand, but unfortunately that's what it is. I'm just going to evolve into Umbreon VMAX. I don't need to switch any of their Pokemon in the active. I'm just going to knock out this Meloetta. First of all, that removes one of their Fusion Strike energies, so that lowers the chances of their increasing attack if they have another Meloetta to for Mew VMAX to copy. But if not, they're going to be left with their Genesect V's attack, which deals only 210 damage. But with the increased attack of the Power Tablet, we're still surviving an attack with Umbreon VMAX. So I guess they have one more Power Tablet, but I still don't think that's going to be enough to knock out our Umbreon VMAX. And good thing we have another Path to the Peak. The lower cards that they have on hand, the better. We can use Path to the Peak to lock them out after this point. But that's going to leave us with Umbreon VMAX as an attacker. They're dealing 300 damage, so we're 10 HP away from a knockout here, which is really bad. If they have OHKO, that's going to be bad for us too, because they can just deal damage counter to our Umbreon, get 3 prizes, and probably get a knockout from one of our other Pokemon. So let me just get Umbreon VMAX back to the deck. I'm going to use Marnie. I mean, they have 5 cards. That could mess up their hand. But what I'm going to do here is just power up my Houndoom, hoping to attack with it, because Houndoom can actually attack for a lot of damage as well. Just get another Umbreon V, and then I'll just accelerate an energy on my other Umbreon, and I'm just going to use Mark Darkness to get 3 prizes off of this Mew VMAX, getting me 3 prizes. Again, you just have to change up your strategy. There's really no point in using Single Strike Urshifu VMAX in this matchup, because you're just going to easily lose 2 or 3 prizes because they are hitting for weakness. So when going up against a certain matchup, of course, you're just going to have to use your, whatever it means necessary so that you can win the match. But that's going to be game. We don't even have to evolve into Umbreon VMAX. We already have damage counters on it. We can accelerate Single Strike energy on our Umbreon V. Again, we can just hit for a lot of damage, tons of damage against this Mew VMAX. So that's gonna be game for us. Moonlight Blade, there's the scoop. Good game.